All right, gang. Full disclosure, I have an idea of where we're going today. This is going to be a little bit of a Jeff rant.
I do love a Jeff rant.
So I'm not positive where we're going today.
All right.
But this is just going to be whatever's going through Jeff's brain. That's what this episode is going to be.
So buckle up is what you're saying?
Buckle up, and I'm going to maybe tell you some things that you don't want to hear, but maybe you need to hear. Audience.
Oh, okay.
So maybe you too, but just in general. All right, I'm going to see if I can start with a thesis statement. I don't know why people expect... No, that's not true. I'm just going to say this. Stop expecting champagne results on a Miller Lite budget. When people start something, I think that there's an expectation, particularly with health and fitness, that they're going to be good at it.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And you're going to suck at it.
Mm-hmm. For a long time.
For a long time. Like, you're going to be truly terrible for a long time. And then you will progress to mildly mediocre. And then you'll progress to somewhat decent.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll progress to kind of decent, bordering on good. Then you'll progress to good. Then you'll progress to great. And then maybe you'll progress to elite.
Mm-hmm.
But people expect the results of elite when they're in the truly terrible phase.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if we do this necessarily with everything, but there are certain things that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And it is usually with things that are not like we black box, or we mentally whole the times that we were truly terrible at stuff with things that we're now good, great, or elite at.
Yep.
And we forget
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we were truly terrible at them. If you want, just take a moment, listen to one of the first 4 episodes of this podcast.
Before me.
Before
is what
Amy.
He's saying.
Before Amy. Or if you really want to do a deep dive, scroll back on my Instagram to 2020. It's a ways. And I'm not saying that I am elite at either of those things. I am currently in the decent to somewhat good, I think.
I think so too.
For the purpose with the goal that I have for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another piece of it, is what is the goal that we're working toward? And we talk about this a lot. I don't have a desire for this podcast to be, at least in the short term, Joe Rogan level, audience. And I don't have an expectation for my social media to have 100,000 followers or 1 million followers. It's not my desire. So for the purpose that I'm set out for, I think that I've gotten better at it.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a period of time where I was truly terrible. And I had to be truly terrible for a long time before I progressed to mildly mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to be okay being mildly mediocre for a while before I got to a point of passable.
Mm-hmm.
And when we start something, we have this expectation that we're gonna crush because we're good at other things.
Right.
Like with work. Let's just take work as a for instance, right? Think about you as a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
when you finished teaching.
Mm-hmm.
You were a great teacher. I know you were.
I was.
You were a great teacher.
I am humble enough to disagree with you, but I also am factual. I was very good.
Yeah. But you left.
Yeah.
And you started a new career of real estate.
That I sucked at.
Yeah. And you've probably progressed from sucking to not terribly
passable.
terrible. Yeah. To not terrible anymore, but
yeah, but there's still so much to go.
Personal trainers, do you want to know what the average lifespan of a personal training career is?
I'm going to guess it's shorter than we think.
It's 6 months.
I was going to say under 5 years, but 6 months?
6 months. 6 months.
Oh my God, because they just give up?
They give up because it's hard.
Well, anything new is hard.
Yes. But why, particularly personal trainers, why is it hard? Let's think about it for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it so hard for personal trainers to suck at it?
Because they excelled in their own fitness.
Yes. And it's not just, I can't relate to somebody who isn't doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's that most people who become personal trainers because they like working out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad reason, but it's not a good enough reason to keep you in it.
Right.
But also, you like working out, which means you've probably been doing it for some length of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're probably pretty good at working out. And so you think, as you start your personal training career, that it's going to be champagne level results, which is what you're getting in your own fitness because you've been doing it for a half a decade or a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a Miller Lite budget.
Mm-hmm.
You have done nothing. And it's going to suck for a while. And we forget that it's going to suck for a while.
Mm-hmm.
This is also my problem with anybody in the gym who sucks, who's like a terrible person in the gym and like belittles people who are new to the gym.
Oh, I thought you just meant like sucked at working out. Like, hey,
no,
we're trying.
No. It's the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
The people who spit on those people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you arrogant piece of trash.
Mm-hmm.
That you have memory hold, the fact that you too once came to the gym for the first time.
Right.
And were uncomfortable and probably bad at it.
Mm-hmm.
And you just think that because you've done it longer, that you are somehow better than the other person. You're not better. You've just done it
just
longer.
Farther along.
And the reason the reason it looks better, the reason you're maybe more successful at it, you have more results at it, is because you didn't give up. And so you deserve credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a period of time where it was hard.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be willing to go through the hard and I'm bad at it.
Mm-hmm.
But we memory hold this. And I'll tell a story.
I love Jeff stories. Oh, I don't have my blanket on. Hang on.
Okay.
Gotta get cozy for a Jeff story.
This is a Jeff is a truly terrible parent story.
Oh, I love these even more. They make me feel so good about myself.
We had our oldest in beginning of April of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So mentally go back to beginning of April 2020, what was happening in the world. It was the beginning of lockdown. We were just
hearing rumblings that
it had happened. Like everything had shut down. Everything shut down mid-March.
Oh, that's right. It was March 13th.
Everything shut down mid-March of 2020. So we're all at home. People are wiping down groceries, right? Like nothing had opened up yet. It was flatten the curve time. The celebrities coming on singing Imagine. Like it was
Tom Hanks getting sick.
That was when we were all like, we're going to lose Tom Hanks because we didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally. Oh, God. I'm very glad that I black holed that.
But like we've memory hold this moment. But this was the time when Megan and I became first-time parents.
God, that's isolating.
Yes. Because families didn't come over because of some of it, but like high risk people in our family, we weren't going to do it. Right. And it was hard. Grandparents met Levi through glass doors. We held him up in his car seat. This is Levi. We had friends. I like forgot about this until this very moment. Megan's mom had friends come to our apartment building, and they all did like a parade, like a car parade by our door, and we stood outside, and there were 30 cars of friends and family that came by to just wave for 10 seconds at us in the car. And we sobbed in the parking lot because we were alone. We were alone in it. And it wasn't because people weren't willing to, but it was just the world that we lived in.
Right.
And, you know, I think everybody has a different experience with having kids, but certainly with us and for Megan, she had this vision that, and it was the expectation, like we had talked about it. Megan's mom was going to be there basically all the time, right? Like that was just going to be the deal. My parents were going to be there. Like we were going to have friends and family. Like we were going to have tons of support. And again, hindsight, right now I'm saying this, in the moment it was incredibly difficult. In the moment it was incredibly difficult. But in hindsight, it probably made us better parents because we didn't have the crutch of other people to help us, and we had to figure it out. It brought us closer together as a couple. It brought us closer together as a family because we only had each other. And it was just like, okay, we have to figure this out.
Yeah, kind of thrown into the fire.
Yeah. And so again, just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not good. But there's a story of Jeff being a terrible parent, which is in the hospital. I don't know if you guys, in the hospital, they never, like the nurses basically teach you how to care for this baby. And he never wore clothes in the hospital. He just had a diaper and then double swaddled.
And the shirt thingy? Did he have the shirt that didn't have the bottom?
He literally just was diaper, double swaddle. That was him in the hospital.
M was diaper and then like essentially the top half of a onesie. So it's just like the shirt that you can just wrap on him.
Yeah. But like literally that's just what it was. And we were so used to this. So we get him home and we're like, okay, just dude doesn't need to wear clothes. Like it's easier to access stuff. Like he's always in a swaddle. Let's just like swaddle him up. He's good to go. And so they had these things called snuggle me's, which is like basically a pillow with a caved in area where you just kind of set him down. He could lie in there and he could nap, you know, when we're watching him during the day. And we would basically just put him in this. This is like, Megan hates this story because we seem like we're neglectful parents, but again, we just didn't know.
You're new parents.
We put him in there just in his diaper and we just laid like a blanket over him, basically. And we were FaceTiming my mom one day and she's like, why is he always naked? Like there's a picture of him in my phone under the blanket in the snuggle bean with his arms like this.
Little blue lips.
Like so cold. But I like just didn't register it from lack of sleep and just also lack of awareness and knowing. And my mom was like, you're supposed to put clothes on him.
Yeah.
It was a moment of like, wow, we're bad at this. We're so truly terrible at this. And, you know, what happened as a result of that? Our kids always wore clothes. Yeah. From that point on, you didn't make the mistake again.
Not little naked babies running around.
And I tell that story to say this. I am in no way parenting expert. I wouldn't even necessarily call myself a great parent. I had some not great moments even just this morning with frustrations with my son, trying to didn't want the underwear that I got for him and had a meltdown, and in his thrashing meltdown kicked me in the face and in the manland. And so then I get emotionally. We'll give Amy a minute.
I in my life heard it referred to as manland. I gotta write it down. Hang on. Continue. Go on about your day. Oh man, I'm gonna text it to John so I remember. Manland. I'll explain.
No. You gotta go. Don't send this. I'm gonna tell you exactly what text to send him. I would like one ticket to Manland, please.
No.
You'll make his whole day. Come on. I'm trying to wingman John here.
Okay, I'll tell him Jeff says should.
Oh, don't bring me into it. Give me credit after the fact.
One ticket to
Just
Manland, please.
Oh man, you're welcome, John.
All right,
you should listen to the damn podcast, John.
Okay, so hey, I'm crying, but like a different reason today. Okay, so he kicked you in the face.
Yeah, so then
and in the
emotionally,
physically,
you know what I mean? Like, so that happens. So then we're like in a tussle to get him dressed, and so that just doesn't work for anybody, right? So I am in no way, but I am certainly I think a capable father who cares for his kids, and people kind of look at our situation with 3 small kids that are 18 months apart, and they're like, how do you do it? And it's just like, we just do it because it's necessary, sort of thing. And we had to figure it out. But there was a time that we were truly terrible at it. And there are times where we feel overwhelmed. But there are also times where it's like, okay, we know this stuff. But you remember I remember the very first time I changed a diaper. It was so bad. Like, I did it wrong. Like, I forgot to put the penis down, so he peed up, and you didn't know this because
I only
you had
have a girl.
But like, this is the thing. Parents, with boys know this is
the PP-teepees for my friends who have boys. It's like a little fabric, like it's like a wide tent that you throw on while you're changing them.
Yeah. Well, so that's
works.
Well, because they'll just fire it off. Like, you'll get a geyser. You open it up and just like Old Faithful. But you have to know to point the penis down, because otherwise it pees up and it just gets them soaked. But like, you make that mistake once and you're like, oh, that was a bummer. Like, why are you soaking wet and your diaper is perfectly dry because it just shot out the top?
Oh my God. So glad I had a girl.
Yeah.
So glad.
So there's these things that you're like, okay, I was so bad at it. And I had to just be okay with being terrible at it. And then it got to the point where like I could change a diaper with one hand while holding another kid and disciplining another one. Like, it became to the point where I was an elite diaper changer by the end of 4.5 years of changing diapers.
Because you were very consistent at it.
I was consistent at it, but there was a period of time where I was just bad at it. And certain things you can get better at quicker, but like, you're bad at it. And that first night, you don't sleep that first night with the kid at home.
No.
You're just like, you watch them. You're like, are you breathing? Are you alive?
Oh God.
You want to know
your hand right here to make sure you can feel their breath.
100%. You want to know what all I wanted to do? I was like, can you just go to bed so I can go to bed? That's the battle now. I'm like, just go to sleep, because I don't. Done with today. Like, that was my text to Meg. I was like, I have nothing left to offer today while I was upstairs, because I had been putting the twins to bed for 1 hour and 15 minutes because of potty training, which we're going to get to in this, right? Like, we're potty training, so they're like, I have to go potty, and you're like, you don't actually need to, but I can't like say no, because you know what I mean?
Can't discourage it right now.
I'm like, just go to bed. Just go to bed. Just go to bed so that I can go to bed. But that shift doesn't happen immediately.
No.
Like, I used to go to sleep and I would wake up and I would like look for Levi in our bed, even though he never slept in our bed with us. I'd be like, he's in the sheets. Like, I'd wake up in a panic. I'm like, where is the kid? And he's like in his bassinet next to the bed. But I'm like, I'm having a panic. Like, where is he?
Right.
That changes with time.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to just embrace the fact that you're going to be terrible at it. And so I'm going to go one more thing parenting wise. I just mentioned we potty trained our twins 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
You're going to have rug money now.
Well, yeah.
No more diaper money.
Yeah, we're getting there. It's a real thing. Yeah, we do need a new rug. I forgot that we talked about rug money. Yeah, we're not yet at rug money. We're just climbing out of when we get Levi off to kindergarten, we're gonna have rug money.
Oh yeah.
When we go no diapers and only 2 kids in daycare,
you can buy 2 rugs.
We can buy 2 rugs. we'll buy a rug for a room that doesn't even need a rug.
I'm gonna double up my rugs just because I can.
just because I can. No, get a rug for the outside. Call it new grass, because our grass is just eaten up. It gets sod.
Yay, man! I don't recommend it. I did it last year. I don't recommend it.
Yeah, we just need to. No, we just gotta plant new stuff because our grass got eaten by crows. Because we had grubs.
Oh, okay. I was like, crows?
Yeah, just picking it apart, and turkeys.
Diapers,
so we
potty training.
We potty trained the twins, and we did it. There's a couple, and I will say this: there's regressions that can still happen.
Totally.
But when we potty trained Levi, it was the at least top 2 worst parenting experiences that I've had. And again, that's a champagne problem, right? Like, other parents have way hard, but like, it was a terrible experience. It was like truly awful. It took him 2 weeks. He would have a panic every time that he got on the potty. He peed. He didn't. I'll say this now because he's finally figured it out. Kid did not poop in the potty until 6 months ago.
Would he just wait until he had a diaper on?
He would wait until nighttime when he put a pull-up on, and like we would just time it up. Where like we would go in and we knew in 10 minutes he's going to call for us, and we would have to go change his pull-up. And we went through 2 pull-ups a night just because that was how it went. Like, it was just
like a fear.
It was, I don't know. It was a fear. He's like, I'm not going to whatever. But he finally figured it out. Right. And I was just like, again, this wasn't a battle that I was going to like the hill I was going to die on. Cause I was like, he's not going to crap in his pants on his wedding day. So
probably
at some point he'll figure this out. And at some point he did. But like, it was even just getting him to pee in the potty it was a week and a half. It was a rough, and it was just meltdowns and tantrums, and he like would start peeing and then he'd hop up because he would scare himself, and then he'd pee all over it was terrible. So we were like traumatized by this.
Of course you were. Anyone would be. Anyone visiting your house would be.
Yeah. It was
what's
so
that on
bad.
The ceiling?
We needed a new rug. It was so bad, and so we like were dreading potty training the twins.
Of course.
Dreading it. Because of this experience. And because there's 2 of them. And because our younger son, Parker, I've talked about, is emotionally more emotionally charged than the average kid his age. And when he does get that way, he gets really elevated very quickly. He was the one this morning where, again, we're having like you're cutting off my leg level response to me telling him that he's going to wear this pair of underwear versus the other pair of underwear. Like, so when it was something like, we were like, this is going to be terrible.
Well, and you have a boy and a girl. Those are 2 very different methods of potty training.
For sure. And so we were just like, this is going to be a nightmare. And so we procrastinated. But eventually we got to the point where we're like, okay, we got to do this, right? They're well over 3 now. They're 3 and 4 months, and longer than almost 3.5. And we're just like, okay, like we probably should do this. They've been asking about it. Like, let's pull the trigger here. So that might be part of it. Is one, that they're older. 2, another factor on it being smoother was that their older brother could quote unquote model it for them.
Yep.
And could
Very
kind of
helpful.
coach them through it. Number 3 is that they're slightly competitive with each other, and so that they were doing it together. And number 4 is, I think that we, at least to some degree, were better prepared and better at it the second time around. And and I'm not saying that we're good at it, but like we progressed from truly terrible to mildly mediocre to maybe even passable at doing potty training the second time through. But we had to be truly terrible at it in order to get there. And that has been true of several things with the second 2. Transitioning to a toddler bed was really, really rough for Levi. Did it with the twins very seamlessly. Again, part of this is we're doing it a little bit late, all this stuff a little bit later with the twins because of how it went with Levi, and 2, because life's just harder now. And so things just take longer for us to get to.
Most of the thing it might work out in your favor because they are old enough to be curious about it and ask about it and have that intrinsic motivation to do it.
I think that there's benefits and drawbacks, right? Like you don't want to go too late because then they're so used to it versus, so that you got to thread that needle a little bit. But again, we knew better how to do it. And the thing that I want to come back to, and this is hard, this is a hard thing to like own, but it's important. Levi is going to get the worst version of us as a parent. Because he's going to get everything first. And it's our first time as parents too. And everything that he's going through for the first time, we're going through for the first time. Kindergarten. No idea. No clue. Right? Like we're doing the best we can, but like we don't know. And there's some benefit in that he hasn't like they're close enough together in age where like he didn't have so much of his life that was just us and him sort of thing. But everything that he goes through is the first time for him, and it's also the first time for us. And so we're both going to be bad at it. And it doesn't mean that we're not going to try to be good at it, and we're going to try to prepare, and we're going to try to get some help to know like ahead of time some of the things, so maybe we can progress quicker from the truly terrible to the mildly mediocre, maybe even to the good. But most of it we're going to be bad at because it's new. And that's a bummer in some ways, but it also like for him, but in other ways it forms a unique relationship with us and him that like he's who made us parents. So like we are becoming parents as he's becoming a person. And we grow in it together. But the idea, and there's, I think, natural parent guilt that comes along with that. There's parent shame associated with like, oh, why is it that they do so much better in XYZ situation? Or why does this parent, are they doing so much better with it than us? So like as a for instance, we have several of our friends have kids two of our friends in particular, like close families, that we call them auntie and uncle to our kids, had sons within 3 months of Levi on either side. But for one of them, it was their second kid. For the other one, it was their third kid. And so
it's a very different experience.
It's challenging, though, for us to be like, I feel like they're nailing this with their kid at the same time frame as compared to us.
I mean, we can't help it. It's human nature to compare ourselves to everybody else.
It is. But it's zooming out. Why might I have to just say, and this isn't like I'm putting myself down. They're better parents to that age kid than we are to our age kid, that Levi. And it's not because they're inherently better. It's not because they're trying harder. It's not because they love their kids more. It's because they are 18 months to 4 years ahead of us on the game of parenting. It would be like me going into the gym and I started working out 2 years ago and comparing myself, who I'm doing maybe a good job, but comparing myself to somebody who started 10 years ago. It's not to say that that guy wants it more, that guy's more disciplined or works harder or anything like that. He has just stacked more time, has more experience. And if he's gotten the right experience and the right help along the way to get there, then he's going to be further ahead than me. And it doesn't mean that where I am is not good relative to where I started. But we always want to kind of recognize that where we are doesn't live in a vacuum. But we memory hole where we started. So this is point number 2. Megan got a haircut probably 6 months ago. Halfway decent length haircut. So it went from kind of like her chest to above her shoulders, like clearance from her shoulders. Which was, I think we talked about this on the pod. That
it was very cute on her.
But it was like alarming for her because that was not what she asked for, right? And she kept getting compliments months later. She's like, man, I keep getting compliments about my haircut, because it would be people who hadn't seen her in a while. And she's like, I feel like my hair hasn't even grown. Like, it still seems so short. But clearly her hair had grown. It had been a couple of months. But you don't notice your hair grow because it happens every day and you see yourself every day. You see the gap between where you are and what's not there, where you expect to be. You see the missing hair. And you're like, I am still 6 inches above where my hair used to be. And it's difficult to see the fact that your hair is 3 inches from where it used to be. Unless you take the time to actually look back and see where you were. And so we looked back and we looked at a picture of the day that she came home from her haircut. She's like, that was so short. And it's shorter now than it used to be, but it is way longer than it was right when I did it. But we don't notice the progress that we're making day to day because we're focused on the gap between where we are and where we want to be. If I've been at the gym for 2 years, I don't reflect on where I am at 2 years relative to day one nearly as often as I look at where I am at 2 years compared to the guy who's been here for 10 years. I see the gap between where I am and where I want to be a lot clearer than the gap from where I am to where I was. Why? Because it's right in front of our faces. And we think we should have champagne level results with maybe blue moon level budget. But you went from Miller Lite to blue moon level. Okay? You've progressed. You're not buying Dom yet, but you're also not buying a 30 rack for $1.50. Because that's what at least Miller Lite should cost.
Oh my God.
It tastes like beer flavored water.
Water.
So how do we combat this? A couple things. We need to do a better job of reflecting and being grateful for the progress that we've made and celebrating wins regarding the process along the way. Number 2, we have to have realistic expectations for ourselves, which is incredibly difficult. But if you were to have told 5 years ago, Jeff, so 5 years ago, Jeff was not yet a dad. He was close to becoming a dad, but not yet a dad. If you were going to tell 5 years ago, Jeff, that you were going to be primary caregiver to a almost 5-year-old and twin 3-year-olds, and you will have days where all 3 of them are home by yourself, and you would volunteer for your wife and her mom to go on a vacation for a week while my parents are also away. So our support system, it's me, right? Like I'll have friends that might, pop over and whatever, but it's me. There are going to be 2 days that week where all 3 kids are home all day, plus the weekend. So 4 out of 7 days.
So much. That's so much.
It's just going to be me 1-on-3 every night, 1-on-3. That I would have signed up for that. Now, am I like, this is going to be the best thing ever? This is going to be easy? Of course not. I'm not.
You're going to survive it, but you're not going to thrive through it.
But the fact that I was like, go do it. Like this was my idea. Like go do the thing. That dude would have been dumbfounded.
Yeah, totally.
But here's the other, if you put that guy in even just a one-on-one situation with any one of my kids right now, just like a day with me and my oldest, because Wednesday is my daddy day with Levi. Wednesday was a dumpster fire day. Wednesday was, I don't know what was going on. His emotional regulation was gone from the moment he woke up. And it was there all day. And I don't always handle that well, right? It's very really easy when a kid is like, you're not my dad anymore and all this stuff, to not like emotionally rise to the like emotional abuse that you're getting. Like, because it's literally emotional and verbal, sometimes physical abuse that you're getting. And if any other adult said the stuff that you're getting, you'd be like, I don't want to be friends with you anymore, right? Like, this relationship's over. But you just have to take it from a 5-year-old to some degree, because they just don't know how to be a person yet. Wednesday was a dumpster fire. And I handled it. I was proud of how I handled it. I'm not going to say that I nailed it, but I think I did very well given the circumstances. And it was a very hard day. You put 5 years ago Jeff in that situation, he would have died. Like he would have given up. He would have run away, gone to California. Like, see you never. Like, I'm out, not doing this. And it's not because I am better now than I was 5 years ago, or I would be more willing to love my kid or whatever it is. It's just, I grew with him. I put in the reps of navigating emotional breakdowns and tantrums over the course of the last 5 years. And so you said to me before we started the podcast, you're like, it gets easier. And again, I appreciate that. And I think in some ways it does. And in other ways it gets harder. I think it doesn't necessarily get easier. It gets different. But you're better equipped to handle. The reason why it gets different is because the things that used to be hard are no longer hard. Because you did them when they were hard.
Right.
Think about your job. when you first started your job as a real estate agent, everything was hard.
Yes.
Everything was uncomfortable. Everything took 10 times longer. And then if you look at some of the stuff that you do now in your sleep, like what's something that you do now that is like you do it without even thinking, but the first time it took you forever?
Writing contracts, writing offers.
Yeah.
I can bang one out in 20 minutes now, where I used to be like hours and having to send it to my broker to be like, can you look over this?
Yeah.
Make sure I didn't mess up. Second guessing yourself and all that.
Do that. You had to be willing to be like, because if you got to the point with that first contract where you're spending hours on it and you're like, this is so friggin' hard. And then you're like, I'm never going to get this. I'm never going to get this. This is too hard. I'm too bad at this. Like, I'm not good at this. Like, I'm clearly not good enough at this. I can't hack it. Like, I should just go back to teaching because at least I was good at that.
Yeah.
You would have never gotten to the point that you're at now.
Yeah.
And there's probably a point now you're dealing with new hard problems.
Yeah, definitely.
That are the new challenge that you would have never dealt with back then. And certainly if you had to deal with them back then, that might have buried you. And so that's the key, is one, you have to make sure that the problems that you're trying to achieve or accomplish or overcome, there we go, the problems you're trying to overcome right now are appropriate to your current level of ability.
Right.
I'm going to say a secret that nobody wants. Newborns are not that hard.
They're not, because they're just like...
They're not that hard. They eat, they sleep, they poop. Like there's things that are challenging about it. You're not sleeping that much. They cry and they can't express themselves, but they're not... There's a reason why like newborn parents can just tote them around anywhere. They're super portable. Yeah. They sleep all the time. Like they're snuggly. They want to be with... They're not that hard.
Right.
But they feel hard the first time you become a parent.
Yeah.
You want to know how you know that newborn stage is not that difficult? You have a second kid. And you go, oh, this is the harder one is not the new. When the twins were newborn, the harder, like if you picked, would I rather have the two newborn twins or the one 18-month-old? You would have picked the newborn twins. That's the easier route. Which is wild to think about.
Wild.
But that was dead. Like, that's what we would do. I was like, 10 times out of 10, pick the twins. Because the challenges were just like, okay.
Not all that challenging.
Yeah, burp them, change them. You know, they can just lie there. They're fine.
Yeah.
They'll sleep most of the time. You could do stuff. But when you first do it, remember, April 2020, Jeff, was like wicked overwhelmed and felt useless. And it was so hard for that version of Jeff. So it's not that the problem changed. It's my ability to overcome it changed because I did it already. Which is why I don't know how, and props to anybody who does this, who like hard launches with adoption, and you get a kid who's a little bit older, and you're having 3-year-old problems with no experience. I'm like, I don't know how you handle that. Again, you know, like just no idea, because I had to like work up to it.
Right.
I had to work up to it. That would be like, okay, my first day in the gym, I'm going to put 225 pounds on the bench press and just see what I got. I'm going to get buried. You have to pick something that is appropriate to your current level and recognize that you're still going to suck at it. But you have to like just be okay sucking at it.
Yeah. Because every day you're going to suck a little less.
Suck a little bit less. And eventually you'll get to the point where it's like, oh, okay, I don't actually suck at that thing anymore. But the problem is most people don't get to the point where they say, oh, I don't suck at that anymore. Because they're focusing on the new thing that they have to do now that they now suck at. Whatever the new thing is that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, I got to go find more leads. Like you probably got some initial leads early on when you're like, hey, I'm doing real estate. And you had friends who were like, cool. But now it's like, okay, how do I make this sustainable?
Right.
You lose the first. I answered a question on my Instagram the other day, which was like, why is the first 5 pounds easier to lose than the last 5 pounds? And this is true of 5, 10, 15 pounds. And the reason why is the first 5 pounds, not all of it is body fat.
Mm-hmm.
You just pee it out. You start eating a little bit healthy. You're just holding on to a little bit less. You lose some inflammation. You lose some water weight, and you just you pee it all out. You can lose 5 pounds in a week. Sometimes. Not everybody does, but that's why dudes can have a salad and just lose 10 pounds. And I know it's frustrating, but this is the nature of it. You can just flush it out. Why is the last time 5 pounds harder? Because you actually have to lose the 5 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be dialed in. You're getting closer to the thing. Your new level problems are harder. But when you look back at the things that you did early on, you're probably those weren't that difficult. Why? And I have clients who are when we do our weekly check-in and I say, hey, what's one thing you did well? And they're searching for something. Well, I did my water like always. And I'm like, do you remember that when we first started, you drank no water whatsoever?
Right.
But now water has become instinct for you. As Amy takes a sip of water.
I know. I go through a lot these days.
But now it's become instinct for you.
Mm-hmm.
So the things that were hard are not as hard anymore. But you can't. This is the hair.
Mm-hmm.
You have to bring attention to the fact that you have come a certain way. And not only focus on the things that you're not doing, even though those are the present challenges and you know that there are future challenges that you're going to come through, you have already overcome other challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Your first day at work, you were bad at everything.
Oh, heck yeah. And everyone was bad at everything.
Everybody was bad at everything. But if you came in your first day of work and you tried to be the CEO, you would never work again.
Mm-hmm.
You have to come in and do appropriate level things, and it's going to be appropriately difficult. And then you're going to the next level of appropriately difficult. This is progressive overload in the gym. If I start with 20 pounds and I start doing something with 20 pounds, at some point, 20 pounds will become not that difficult anymore.
Right.
So how do I continue to get better? I got to go heavier with the weight. And at some point, you're like, why do these 45s feel so heavy today?
Because they're not
20 pounds were you could grab the 20s if you want to, and you'd be like, oh, I came a long damn way.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I've been stuck at 45s for 3 weeks. It's like, girlfriend, you started at half the weight 6 months ago. Of course it's going to get hard. Of course it's going to get hard. It's going to be hard. It's going to stay hard. Parenting is going to be hard. This is why I reject, and I appreciate what you're trying to do. I reject the idea that parenting is going to get easier. I no longer believe that that's true. I was holding on to it for a while. I no longer believe that's true. I believe that it gets different.
Mm-hmm.
I think that my parents being my parent right now, being my mom and dad, is still hard for them. I think it's different hard, but I think it's still hard for them.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I think if you were to look at the level of hard, it's probably been equal because they're navigating new challenges. How do I be parent and grandparent and let you go, but also be part of it and all of it?
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm not particularly easy as a son.
Really? I would assume it'd be very easy.
That's a horrible assumption.
Oh.
I mean, I think that I'm not a bad son, I don't think, but I think with everything, we have, with your parents, you have a different dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
You just have a different dynamic with your parents than you do with anybody else, I think. It's the reason why my son will probably never say to anybody, I hate you and I never want to be around you anymore. He hasn't said that to anybody else in his life besides me and Megan.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have a different relationship with your parents.
Right.
And it's safe and all of those things, but you develop that through time and reps, and you're going to be bad at it. But the problem comes when we expect to be good at it from the jump, and we try to do things that somebody who is good at it should be doing. So if you're starting from the beginning, you're just eating kind of normal American diet, you probably shouldn't track your macros.
Yeah.
It's not because you won't ever track your macros, but I'm going to tell you the truth. You're not ready yet. And it's not because you need to do anything, you need to earn the right to track macros, but like, you're just not ready yet. So do something that's appropriate for you. You don't even know what you're eating. If you can't tell me what you ate for lunch yesterday, you're not ready to track your macros. If you can't tell me what you're having for lunch tomorrow, you're not ready to track your macros. And it's not because you're not good enough or anything like that. You're just not ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like saying, I'm going to run a marathon and you've never run a 5K. You're just not ready yet. It's not to say that you won't get there, but you have to do this thing in an order that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that, oh, I've never really run and I'm going to go out and run a 5K even, and it's going to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, it's not. It's going to suck, and you're going to be sore, and you're going to walk like a baby giraffe for a week afterward. And you're going to get shin splints, and it's going to suck.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want to know what you do then? You go run again. And then it sucks just a little bit less. Actually, no, the second time it sucks just as much, if not more.
Yeah.
But eventually it sucks just a little bit less. And you suck at it just a little bit less. But the idea that I'm going to go run a 5-minute mile my first time out is ridiculous. But that's the equivalent of like, I'm going to do 6 days a week of working out and track all my macros or follow this meal plan perfectly or do Whole30 or 75 hard. I'm going to tell you something about 75 hard right now. I'm going to tell you something right now. I've been working out very, very consistently for 9 years. You want to know how many times in my life I've worked out even once a day, 75 days in a row? Zero times. 0 times have I done it. It was something when I had no kids, I worked out all the damn time. I never worked out 75 days in a row. I do it as a job. I am perfectly incentivized to work out more, and I don't work out once a day. The idea that you're going to work out twice a day for 75 straight days, if you're not doing 3 days a week, is ridiculous.
Who has do they like take 75 days off of work to be able to squeeze 2 workouts in a day?
I mean, I don't think that it's ridiculous to find the time to do an hour. Like a workout could be like I go for a walk outside sort of thing, right? Like 30-minute walk and a 30-minute workout. Like I don't think that it's that you don't have the time. I think it's that you don't have the capability yet of doing something to that level of consistency when you haven't proved to yourself that you can do it even twice a week.
Right. Going from 0 to 100.
7 weeks. Because that's what it is. It's 7 weeks or 8 weeks, something like that. The idea that you're going to do something for 8 weeks that you haven't done for 3 weeks is ridiculous. And then you get mad at yourself like, I don't know why I'm not disciplined enough to do this. I don't know why I don't have the willpower. It must be there's something wrong with me. No, the only thing wrong with you is that you haven't done it long enough and you're expecting to be elite when you suck. And it's not your fault that you suck, but you just do. And the only reason that you suck is because you haven't done it long enough. Why do you think that kids start playing baseball on a tee where the ball doesn't move? Because it's freaking hard.
It's hard to hit a moving target.
And then you go from that to like soft toss and then coach pitch and then machine pitch where it always comes at the same speed right down the middle. And then you have to deal with little kids trying to throw it at your head. It's very, very hard. There's a progression to this, and we know this in every other aspect of our lives, but we just like memory hole it when it comes to our fitness because we think that all of a sudden we should be able to do this. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. And you aren't going to do it that well. And that's why you keep failing. And it's not because you're a bad person. It's not because you're a failure. The difference between you and the person who's successful is that they were willing to fail one more time.
Ooh, that was good.
They were willing to fail one more time. But you have to actually start with something that's appropriate. And yes, it's going to be slower. But you want to know what's really slow? Never actually getting there. So do the fitness and nutrition equivalent of staying up all night and watching your kid breathe. Do the fitness and nutrition equivalent of your first day at work, where all they asked you to do was fill out some paperwork and sign into your email. That was all you had to do on your first day of work. Mm-hmm. If you had any sort of good job that trained you appropriately. And then just give it enough time. But recognize that you're going to be bad at this. For a long time. For a long time. I did I jokingly did this, but I did it on my social media this week where I said, I did like a goofy, like make fun of the dumb ads that are on the internet.
That was hysterical, by the way. I laughed out loud.
Ridiculous video. And I said, I'm introducing my Screw Your 12-Week program. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of a joke, but it's also mostly true. Because 12 weeks is not enough time to do a damn thing.
Nope. It's enough time to get started on something.
It's enough time to get started on something. But started. Mm-hmm. If you're at the place that most people are at when they're thinking about starting, losing 10, 15 pounds in 12 weeks is actually a net negative for you. Mm. Because you probably had to do something that you're in no way, shape, or form going to be able to do. You are getting champagne results with Miller Lite work. And you're not going to be able to do it. Or you're buying champagne. It's really what it is you're buying champagne on a credit card.
Mm-hmm. That's a better analogy.
The bill's going to come due. So if you want the results, you have to do the work that's appropriate. But you have to earn the ability to do it. Not because me or anybody else is going to say that you're capable of doing it, but because you will know that you're capable of doing it. I think that's where I wanted to land.
Hey, I like it. This did not seem as random as I think you were afraid it would be. Or disheveled.
Yeah. It was a lot of different ideas that were popping around my head, and I was like, I think that these are going to come together, but I'm not entirely sure how.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty good.
This is the inner workings of Jeff's brain. All right, friends.
And I learned a new phrase.
I'm going to check in with John later. Hey, do all the things that you do. Like, rate, subscribe, share with a friend. And if you are in a place where you want to actually do this forever, probably want some help. Mm-hmm. So, shoot me a message. Or don't. It's your call. But I'm here. Talk to you soon.